Hey, Mom. What's up, everybody? We're just getting Jordan in here. Jordan's coming from a different location than he normally comes from. Hey!
Oh, hello. I am not wearing the Unitrue shirt because I have a celebration.
Hi, bro.
Still wearing the wristband though.
Yeah.
I'm good. How about yourself?
This is the first time that I'm saying what's up to you, and I haven't actually seen you for like the whole day.
Yeah, this is the first time we haven't spoken on camera in a minute, but it's the festive times, so it calls for have the whole family over there, a whole celebration going on. But we always make some time for some Unitrue.
Always, always. Well, with that being said, Merry Christmas Eve to everybody who's observing. I hope you guys are enjoying your time with your family and your friends and everything that comes with that. If you're new, if you've never been here before, if you have, this is the Unitrue Live. We do it every single Sunday at 3 p.m. Eastern Time.
Even on
Without
Christmas
fail, as
Eve.
you see, Jordan making time for it amidst the celebration. So, but yeah, we have two amazing guests coming on this week. Basically, every week we have a theme, and it's a common experience that two university students have or are currently having. And then we bring them on, they get to talk about it a little bit. So this week, the theme is studying business. And without further ado, I'm going to get them in here. So we got a couple different people talk about their experience. How's Senegal, man? You happy to be home?
Not you, Eric, but the other Eric Phelps who's in here. What's up, Matthias?
Hey, Grace.
Hello.
Long time. What's up, bro? How you doing?
What's good, guys?
That's good. What's good? So, like I just said, both of these wonderful people are studying business. So I'll just let you guys take it away and introduce yourselves real quick.
Please go first.
Yeah. Carol wants to say
Yes.
what?
Oh,
Eric?
Yeah.
What's good, boy? Is my mic blocked?
I'm listening to the car, bro.
Hey, bro. I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna be back one day.
Exactly.
Sorry, Erica. You can go first. Go ahead. Introduce yourself.
Am I going?
first? Go ahead. Go ahead.
My bad. What was I saying? Oh, so I was on this, I feel like a few months ago. Oh, no, it's been a minute, actually.
Yes. It's been like 3 months, maybe.
Okay. But I'm Grace. I went to Washington University in St. Louis, from Hoboken, New Jersey. Eric and I grew up together. We just at his house. Studied econ and organization and strategic management, which is like kind of like a consulting major per se. At WashU, did a few business clubs, NTA'd for our like freshman business class. I loved those experiences, and now I work. I just graduated. I work at Capital One, doing banking analytics and strategy.
you need a credit card.
Yeah, I've been trying. If anyone needs a Capital One credit card, I can give it though. So, not that I should be.
I bet you
promoting.
Incentives for that as well. My roommate works at Goldman Sachs and is always trying to do the same thing.
There we go. Yeah, I love repping the brand.
And how about yourself, Matthias? I might gas you up too much. I know you're a humble guy, so I'm gonna let you introduce yourself.
There you go, guys. Yeah, my name is Matthias Belletti. I go to Northeastern University. Bit about my background. I graduated in Vietnam. I study econ and finance at Northeastern, financial technology, fintech. And I'm mostly doing like entrepreneurship. So I haven't been really in school for a while now, like a year about. But I'm going back. I'm gonna finish up soon. And yeah, I have a brand company, Foreign Resource. So
tell us more.
Wait, plug it real quick. Talk about the company.
Yeah, I have a clothing brand. It's called Foreign Resource. Our goal is to bring international third culture kids together, kind of like similar to the audience you guys are targeting. Jordan dropped in the comments. Yeah, everybody go hit that follow, please. Yeah, and so we do like global community tours and events. So last month in Amsterdam, we had like a party and a pop-up We're doing one. We have a few countries coming up this year in 2024. Boston, New York, we did this past year. Anyway, yeah, we just try to bring internationals together because we found a lot of people have the issue of not being able to meet other third culture kids and internationals that they feel they can connect to better than just people that haven't been able to see the world like we have, you know?
Awesome.
So that's the
Stop that.
background.
Clothing is fire. The quality is fire. Everything about it is fire. So, you know, I just wanted to add that little anecdote in there.
So my first question kind of comes off of what you were just talking about, right? You graduated in Vietnam, coming all the way over to Boston for university. Did you know you always wanted to do business? Were you undecided, or how did you end up choosing that major?
I was initially going to go to fashion school, but yeah, I've always been into, like, I've always done businesses. Even in high school, I had like a reselling company and was in and out of different things. But yeah, I was always interested in business. Finance is really interesting to me. So I worked in banking. I worked in New York at a bank for a while and that wasn't for me. So I've been through that, and I thought that was my interest, but I learned that it wasn't for me. But yeah, I think that was the biggest thing. I was into numbers and I was into like money management, and I think that was the main reason why it intrigued me, to answer your question.
Sick. What about you, Grace?
Can you hear me now? Sorry.
Yeah.
So you were saying like why business, basically. I would say, so I came into WashU and I thought I wanted to do history, and then I took a few econ classes and kind of realized that I liked that more. And my freshman summer, I did a business internship. It was really like a lot of Excel. And then I decided, I was like, okay, maybe this is a good like career path to go down. And my dad studied finance, so I kind of had like that influence also. But I really liked the one of the business classes I took at WashU, like the freshman business class, because it was more of like a Socratic circle. So you kind of get called on and have to like be able to speak on your feet. And I thought that was really interesting. And we had like case competition too. So I enjoyed, I think, that sort of style. And I think it teaches you more like real life skills. Definitely now that I've graduated, I'm very thankful for that. But yeah, so that's why I did it at first. Thought the class, like kind of like the class style was really interesting.
And then did both of you go into university knowing, because I know, like, I guess all four of us are business majors, so it's quite heavy on the business here. But in terms of knowing, like, going into university, did you always know that it was going to be business for sure?
For me, I think once I took my business class, I was like, yeah, I should do this. I was kind of gung-ho on it. And I had a lot of friends in business too who really enjoyed the classes. And they were like a bit further ahead of me, so I kind of had that insight also. So I feel like I knew kind of like right after I took my first or second business course. I think also, this is more of a side note, but some of my friends were in a business fraternity, and that was like super helpful career-wise, and also just like making friends through that was awesome. So I think there's like a lot of opportunities.
Do you remember what the business fraternity was?
Yeah, DSP.
Oh, okay.
Which I know Sean, I know Eric's in college.
I was in PL, and that's a suggestion that I would make for anybody that's watching this and that wants to go into business. I think joining a business fraternity is definitely a big bonus, just because, you know, you get everything that you get the good parts of what you would get out of fraternity, but that's very relevant to, you know, like you going into business and, you know, having the connections that everybody says fraternities for the connections, blah, blah. I think it's horseshit. But I think that if you go into a business fraternity, then you'll really get what you're looking for when it comes to that. So
yeah.
I'll try to add that in there.
For me, I think, yeah, I always knew I was into business, I guess more entrepreneurship than like than finance, which I was a realization for me. I was numbers, I was into markets, but there's people that live and breathe and die that kind of stuff, and I wasn't at that level. I was at that level in trying to build businesses. So for me, it was the realization of that. But I mean, yeah, I definitely knew it was always business if it wasn't like art school. And so yeah, I think coming into university, I already had declared it. And it was more, I think in school you learn more about what you don't want to do versus what you do want to do a lot of the time. And I think that was the route I had. And yeah, business was definitely the one and only thing I'm not trying to do medicine or any of that. So
That is and that you learn a lot about. You probably learn more of what you don't want to do than what you actually want to do. That's a fact. I have a question. So when it comes to business majors, there's a stereotype, which I'm curious to hear your opinions on, that business is an easy major. You know, you're just coasting, doing your thing. You know, not that much work, especially coming from the engineers and the architects of the world. You know, the bio, whatever. In your guys' experience, was business an easy major, or was it difficult for you guys? Or not necessarily personally, but in general, course load, how much time it takes up, stuff like that.
The amount of times I science majors, oh my god, it blew me, bro. Oh my gosh, I was gonna ask that question. It's so annoying. Anyways, yeah. I get that.
I would say, to be honest, I think it's way easier than other majors, but I think that in terms of coursework, but I think that if you want to, it's just like a trade-off kind of thing. Like if you want to make it far in the business world, finance, supply chain, like any of these, marketing, it's more about the soft skills, and those things are not learned through doing like coursework. You got to be out networking. You got to be somebody that can sell yourself. These are not things that you could just learn by reading a textbook. And I think it's way harder on those regards. Like if you're in engineering, it's pretty much like, can you do this problem or not? Or can you like code this software or not? You know, it's a lot more straightforward. I think for us business majors, you have to know how to like, you really have to know how to sell yourself, to know how to network, like, and it's so much harder in those regards. So I think coursework, obviously, I think it's easier and less, but I don't think that's all that makes that it's made of per se.
Yeah. I agree. I think we used to say like B school, preschool, at WashU, and I like joined the business. I joined the business major like second year, so I used to say that to my friends who were in business, and then I joined them. So I guess that's on me. But yeah, I do think business, like a lot of soft skills, like what you're saying, are taught in the business programs. Like I think it really depends on the major. Like finance and accounting, you do have to have like those technical skills, and those I think can really help you in terms of like pushing the envelope when you're applying to various internship or full-time programs. Because if you have like the base technical skills, I think it helps out a lot. But I agree. I think, I don't know, business is definitely more about like how you communicate and how you can convey your point and how you can tell a story. And so in that regard, it is easier than like having to write a like 10-page essay or research paper, or having to do like mechanical engineering. So I do think it is a little bit. I think the skills are a little different. There's different types of people that do each of them. That's what I'll say. Yeah.
If I may chime in, I personally think that when it comes to business, I think you can fake it till you make it until you actually make it.
Yeah.
And so what I mean by that is that, you know, a lot of people are going to say, oh yeah, business classes are easy. Business classes are this, that, and the third, right? But then in terms of being in the business major itself, you need to figure out what works for you, right? Because you're going to go into the world, you're going to be like, okay, there's so many different avenues in business. Okay, I wanted to do this. Okay, I guess, you know, working in Excel sheets is not really for me. Okay, now I'm analyzing data. Analyzing data is not really for me in business. And so then I'm doing marketing. Okay, I don't really actually understand my consumer, so now I'm not going to be doing this. And then down the road, you know, you've already lost 6 years or 7 years in the workforce, right? Whereas, you know, when you're a mechanical engineer, for example, it's plug and play. You know, it's you already know exactly what you're doing. So I think it depends, and I think that it's made for some people and not made for some people. And, for us, thank God it is. But for a lot of people, they think that that's what they were supposed to do, and they weren't. So that's just my 2 cents.
That's definitely.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess what else do I have to? It's so difficult to ask a business major question because all the answers are already in my head. I don't know, Eric. Do you have another
Yeah,
question
I do have a question. So, Matthias, you were talking about before about networking, and I think that's something like you were, and I think it's also very true where a lot of the skills that you use in the real world or just in general, and when you're doing business, aren't the things you're learning in the textbooks. Like you learn kind of the basic things so you can hold a conversation, whatever. And obviously it depends on the major. Accounting, finance is different. But once you're there, it's really about, people want to work with who they like, and people want to, enjoy their day to day. So when it comes down to networking, did you guys utilize your professors? Did you guys connect with anyone through the school, or did your school hold alumni networking events? Like, how did you guys, first of all, okay, kind of a two-part question, because when I came into university, I didn't understand the concept of networking at all, understand its importance or anything like that. So one, I would say, how has networking been incorporated into your university experience? And two, do you recommend people who are starting university or looking at universities to consider the networks of their schools?
Yeah, I would say it's a huge, huge factor in terms of where I mean, it depends where you want, what type of job you want. I would say looking back, definitely consider the size of your school and the alumni network, whether it's strong or not, / like the connections that they have. Because I do think it's an important factor, and it will kind of determine how much work you have to do to like find those connections once you're there. I think for WashU, we had a pretty solid network. I think Penn State's probably better, just because it's bigger and the alumni are like more strongly connected, I would say, to the school. But WashU was pretty solid, and we had connections with like Capital One, for example, or like big consulting firms, McKinsey, BCG, and so that definitely helped. Like they'd hold like coffee chats basically and have people come back to the school, and so you make those connections, you meet people through them, and so on and so forth. And then I think for what I did was reached out to, I was in a consulting club, so I reached out to people who were also in that and had graduated and were at companies I wanted to work at, and so that I think it's a huge factor, because I think I got Capital One partly because of networking and good recommendations. But I think I should have reached out to professors. I think that's one thing maybe I should have done. But yeah, looking back, I would factor in the network of your school, or like how good the alumni network is. Yeah.
Can you repeat the question?
Yeah, pretty much. How does networking impact your day-to-day in school? Do you do it? Does your school set up events or anything like that for you? And then would you recommend considering it as a factor when you're choosing a school?
Yeah, I think it's a big factor. I think it's the biggest factor, to be honest. Most people I know that have landed top jobs at like boutique banks, or like the Big Four accounting, or whatever it is, even like in engineering, like SpaceX and stuff, it's mostly through networking. I mean, you have to know, you can only do so much, you can only tell so much through a piece of paper like you're submitting. In terms of the school, I really wasn't that intertwined in my school's like clubs, but having worked with some of them, I think it's huge. Like the amount of things I hear from people using those networks you gain just from clubs alone, let alone networking events, it's huge. Because I mean, like at Northeastern, the big thing we have is co-op, and that's like they kind of just pretty much set out the steps. Like it's very straightforward on what you have to do to apply and get hired. You obviously have to interview well and land interviews, but like networking is a big part of that. Knowing people that have been at these co-ops before, hitting them up, talking to them through LinkedIn, seeing mutuals, contacting everybody. You have to know how to source these people too, and that's part of networking, right? And I think universities, by having just LinkedIn alone and going to a school and having that on your LinkedIn profile, like that type of networking alone that you get from the online can put you forward so far. And I've seen that incremental value in it. In terms of professors, I've heard professors help out. I haven't reached out to them as well, but yeah, I'm sure they could help out too, especially if they're working in a field that you want to work in, right? But yeah, for me, it's like the LinkedIn and then the mixture of being in clubs can get you really far if you make meaningful connections.
I think my next question might be more geared towards Matthias, but it's a question that I receive a lot, obviously just because of my background and everything I've done for the past few years with UniTrue, before UniTrue, and X, Y, and Z. Balancing out creating a business, managing a business, running a business, and expanding the business at the same time as getting your diploma. Talk a little bit more about that, you know, in terms of what that actually is like, right? Because we know it's not easy, but do you have any advice for anybody? Because, you know, in today's day and age, entrepreneurship is starting to get more and more like cool, more and more mainstream. Everybody wants, you know, something that's a piece of their own, right? So I guess, what's that like, for one, and then for two, do you have any advice for anybody looking to do that as well?
Yeah. I would say first off, I think if you want to go farther, the word, like, there's not a lot of balance in a lot of times. Like, I forewent a lot of social life, still do, in pursuit of the thing I'm trying to build. But I think on top of that, it's really prioritization, knowing what's most important, like clarifying. For me, what I do with the business is I just clarify the most, like, you make a North Star, like the most important thing, whether it's making customer experience the best or whether it's doing the most events in the year, and you just guide all your work around that. And do the same thing for school. Do I want my GPA to be the highest? Do I want to meet the most people? Because you can only really focus on one thing, and then that clears out your task list on a day-to-day, and you're able to just prioritize time based off that. I think that's the most, like, practical way to balance the two. I also think, I mean, late nights, obviously, but having prioritization and then, like, really doubling down on the things that are most important, I think are the biggest things. And, like, it's a time management hack. I do a lot of like Pomodoros, or like time blocking. So working in 1 hour periods, have class, and you know what you have to get done in the 1 hour. If it doesn't get done, then it's gone, and then you go on to the next thing. Especially in business, because we can work on, like, could spend a whole year working on marketing and make an excuse that, like, it's worth the whole year when it's not, you know. So I think that's the biggest thing you run into, especially when you have school, because you do have your classes as well. You can't afford that kind of time. So yeah, I would say that's the biggest thing. Those are the biggest things: knowing your priorities and making it clear.
Awesome, appreciate that.
Yeah. What do you think, Jordan?
You know,
What's the song?
so for me, I think it's about being a realist, right? I think that's the biggest thing. Everybody, it's beautiful to have an idea. It's even more beautiful to be able to turn it into fruition. But then the third part of that is being able to maintain it and have it grow to where everybody wants it to grow, is where it sustains itself and you don't really have to do anything anymore, right? And to just stay motivated as well, right? So in terms of, as you mentioned, like, I remember my senior year. This is the best way to describe it. My senior year, when I was, like, starting to go out more at Penn State, I met so many people that were like, bro, you're like, where have you been this whole time? Like, you know what I mean? And I was like, bro, I've been working, right? Like, I've been trying to lay the bricks for, you know, what's to come afterwards, when I'm not gonna have the time to do the idea creation and the fruition part. You know, it's just gonna be part of the growth. So I think one, realizing why you're doing it, but also realizing what it means to be able to do it too, in terms of finances, in terms of just, like, all the realities, right? It's not just, you know, idea, let's do it. No, there's finances behind it. There's, you know, lawyers behind it. There's contracts behind it. There's so many different parts that's like, okay, this is what it means to actually have a business. That I think that's why I love the fact that I minored in entrepreneurship, because it made me realize, you know, what it means to truly run a business and what it's going to take to truly run a business. So, you know, I think having that creative side, but as well as that realist side, to just, you know, let you know. Yeah.
Yeah. No, for sure. You gotta be realistic too.
For
It's
sure.
hard.
It's hard.
One thing
It's a hard thing.
one thing I want to do is that you're going to have to make sacrifices, and it's basically another part of it is deciding what you're willing to sacrifice. Because, for example, with Jordan, he sacrificed going out for a while. Some people might not be willing to sacrifice that, but they'd be willing to sacrifice, I don't know, hanging out with their friends during the week. You know what I mean? Like, no matter what it is, like, you're going to have to figure out what you want to sacrifice and be willing to do that. But it's going to come down to something, because you can't, like you said, you got to be realist, got to be willing to put the work in. But we got a question. What are classes that you recommend to take when majoring in business?
Okay, I might be a little biased. No, I'm not. I don't think I'm biased, but I taught part of our like Management 100 business class, which is basically like a class that teaches you, it's like Econ 101. So definitely that. I think that's like honestly the baseline. And then from there, like a communications class. And then I would say like the core, you need the core technical skills. I don't know, that might be just my opinion. I guess it depends what you're interested in, but like financial accounting, management accounting, managerial accounting, and then depending on like what you like more, whether it's presenting or if you really like being in the numbers, either doing something like along the lines of finance or looking at marketing or strategy or consulting classes. Yeah, I would say, but definitely get like the basics down. I wouldn't try to like skip around and go super high level in one. Even if you want to be in finance, like get some core communication classes and also.
Do you want me to?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Favorite best classes. She kind of said the most important ones. I would say like at a higher level, probably like things like game theory, understanding sales. Honestly, I think you could throw out every single, in my opinion, I think you throw out every single class in university and just go to a sales class. Because at the end of the day, you have to sell yourself in an interview. And if you can land an interview, you can do the job. I think that's probably one of the most important ones. But I guess that's marketing, because that's most in business. I guess they use it through marketing. Yeah, I mean, she said all the main ones. I would say my favorites are probably like financial accounting. It's painful, but it's the most important thing. And I was even telling my brother, like, that's the only class you have to know everything. If you know everything in financial accounting, like you're good in most business jobs as far as like hard skills go. I don't know if you guys agree with that, but like I didn't pay attention in that class and I didn't remember everything, and it's not done me the best.
Yeah. I know. Sure, what you're talking about sales is a fact, because I don't know why sales isn't a major, or there aren't a lot of sales focused classes. At least I didn't have any. Like I did negotiations class, which talked about some sales concepts, but I had like sales, which was like my favorite class. And it was awesome. But the like sale, literally what you said, if you want to be in business, sales is everything. It's selling yourself, selling your ideas, selling your, networking is in part sales. Like it's tied into everything. And so if you don't know how to present yourself in a way that people will like you, or you present your ideas in a way that people will see the value in them, you could be the best, smartest person in the world, but it's just not going to happen.
Yeah, and I think it's like sales is not like to work a sales job. Like the most important thing in finance is sales. People that are country, they have to know sales. Sales is networking. Like that's how you're communicating value to people. Like it goes for every single job in business, in my opinion.
And your social life too. Everything.
Exactly. Everything. Everything's a sale.
We got a couple more. One of which is kind of similar to the question that was just asked, but what classes have been the most beneficial, and then tie that into what areas of business are you passionate about?
Good questions. Say the most beneficial classes for me, one, econometrics, which is higher level econ, just because it teaches you more analytical skills, and I learned like R Studio and SQL, which I use for my job. And then I'd say I took a like corporate strategy class my senior year, which was super interesting. It kind of teaches you storytelling and then like how to really like get how to woo people, like just get people to be on board with your idea, which I think is also kind of related to sales. But that was a cool class. And then personally, in terms of areas of business, I think it was, I like I actually used to want to do sports business really badly. I still kind of do, but I interned. Sorry, that was my dad sneezing.
Bless
Thank you. Yeah, sports business I thought was really cool. So I think I like the analytics side. Just like getting access to the data and being able to do like tell a story with it. I think is super cool. But yeah, I think those are my. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No. Those are all of them. I could go on and on. I feel like just because I loved it in college, but yeah. Specifically, I'll tell my dad. You guys.
Everybody bless the gym.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
For me, I think the most useful. I mean, yeah, it's a senior level class, like fourth year class. Investment banking and valuations. It's probably called different things at different schools, but it's just understanding how to like evaluate companies, how buyouts are structured, finance stuff. But it's more so the way it make the higher level, like the way it teaches you to think at a higher level about businesses, and like especially because most businesses are just money, so understanding cash flow. And I think like that was just the most useful thing for me in terms of work and being an entrepreneur. And I think that was the most useful class and probably the most interesting for me.
Another question from the same person is kind of tied into this as well, because I know we're talking a lot about analytics, finance, stuff like that, and accounting. If you don't like math, could you still enjoy business, or should you go another route?
I would say you
Yes.
have Excel. Like, low-key, I mean, it depends what. If you're a quant, then you better be really good at math. But in my experience, you don't have to be amazing at math. But you should be interested in math, probably.
I think there's like a certain level of math that like you can't be shit at math, right? You need some level of math, but again, we have calculators, we have Excel, we have all these different things that we have tools nowadays. You don't need to, do everything in your brain and plug and, put out all these answers. So yeah. And also it depends on what side of business too. Like, if you're in marketing, like math doesn't really matter compared to like maybe like in finance, accounting, and things like that. In management, it doesn't matter as much. Yeah. So
Yeah, if you're good. If you're bad at math, it's
I
okay.
like marketing. I think a lot of marketing majors, or not a lot, but some, they aren't really strong in medical aspect and prefer the other side of the business, which I think is also really cool. So you can, love you, John. You got this.
So kind of the last question we always like to ask to kind of put a bow on everything to make it Christmas themed, but to kind of summarize, because you guys talked about some of the good sides of business, some of the bad sides, right? So now, I know you guys are at different stages, but taking all of your experience now, what if you could go back to the time when you were figuring out what you wanted to study, would you still study business? And if not, why?
Tough question. Me personally, yes. I think it got me a lot of places. It got me a lot of cool opportunities, and a job right after college. And so I'm very grateful for that. I think if I had the choice, I would have I minored in Middle Eastern Studies. I would have done business and majored in that just to have some sort of balance. I think sometimes if you work in a subject that you're I don't know, it's nice to be working in business, but I think it's also cool to have other passions and be able to have another outlet. So I think having some sort of balance, but overall I think it was really helpful for me, and especially post grad. So yes, overall, definitely. And I met a lot of people through it, and so maybe that honestly was the most important thing to me.
For me, it's a hard one to say, but I definitely like. I was happy with picking Northeastern as my school because of the opportunities I've got. Like for everything but low key the classes. The classes were great. I mean, the school was great. Like professors are great, but for me, I would say probably I would fare on the side of doing like I did a combined major. I would probably fare on the side of doing still business as part of it, but then maybe something more in the arts as a second part. Because I'm just more of a creative person than I am like a business person. But that's like a personal thing. And I think you just like again like I think college teaches you what you don't want to know just as much. And I would say that yeah, like that would be my answer. I would split it up.
I like to answer Matthias because I remember, through all of the conversations that we've had about business, you've always asked me questions about the business side, and I've always asked you questions more about like the creative side. And yeah.
You can't have everything. You can't be amazing at everything.
Nah, for sure, man. I can't design for.
Hey, bro. No, I feel.
Absolutely. Well, I think you guys kept it really real, and it's true. I think depending on what you want to do in life, business can be awesome, but if it's also like if it's not your thing, I wouldn't force it because there's a lot of other ways to go, So in general, though, I appreciate your guys' insight. I think it matched up pretty well with Jordan and the I's experience as well as business majors, where there's highs and lows, and I think the biggest thing, just try everything and see what you like. Because if you don't try it and you're just assuming what things are like, you're never gonna really know. So just try things, join clubs, see what it's like. If you don't like it, don't force it.
I want to add to what Eric said. Alter what Eric said. Try everything with a purpose. Don't just try everything to try everything. I would say like it is good, but at the same time, like you might. At least I'm just gonna be transparent. I've also met people that have tried sometimes too many things, and it's confused them even a bit further, right? So just do it with a purpose and just keep things in mind in terms of what, like Matthias mentioned. Always have that North Star. Whatever that North Star is, it's always gonna be subjective. But yeah. So that would just be my little anecdote.
Absolutely. Well, thank you guys so much for pulling up. Real quick, I'm going to just do the quick little outro thing. But thank you guys for spending some of your Sunday. I know it's Christmas Eve and everything. But yeah, if you don't know, UniTrue Live, we do it every single Sunday at 3 p.m. Eastern time. We bring on current and past students to talk about their experience in a shared subject. So this week it was business. Next week, you check out the Instagram stories to find out what it's going to be, but it'll be another theme. We got one every week. We had student athletes last week with actually Grace's little brother, but either way, we bring people on to talk about what their experience was like so they can share the unfiltered side of things and not just the university sales process where everything is beautiful and perfect. So thank you guys so much for spending some of your Sunday with us. Merry Christmas to everybody who celebrates, and have a great rest of your weekend. Jordan?
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, Sunday. Happy Sunday.
Merry Christmas.